Hi, and welcome to my video. If you have an upcoming interview with a CEO or a managing director, a company founder, a senior vice president, then this video will help you to prepare for and be ready to answer and ask the questions that will help you close out this final interview. I'm Charles Noyce. I've been recruiting sales staff for 20 odd years, and feedback from C-level executive interviews over the years I've hopefully distilled into a short video that will help you to ace this next interview that you've got upcoming. So it's likely you're watching this video because you're probably already asking yourself the question of, who is this senior exec? What are they going to ask me? What shall I be prepared for? So before I jump into the tips, it's probably a good idea just to sort of set the scene and hopefully put you at ease that this isn't going to be a massive hurdle to climb. In fact, you've probably done all the hard work already, and that this is probably going to seem like a relatively straightforward chat. I think a lot of misconceptions people have about C-level executives, about who they are, but you know what? They're people just like you and I, and all of the people that I've met who are chief execs and senior sales leaders, senior business owners, have the same worries and concerns that you or I have about their life, the family they have, the people they know, what their football team is doing, and all of the other stresses and strains. And so what you'll probably find is that they're probably just as nervous about how they're coming across to you about their business. And so you'll probably find this interview is going to be less of a test about your technical capability of doing the role, and actually probably more of a chance for you to find out about their vision of their business, but also for them just to gauge who you are and what you're all about, and are you someone that's going to come in and be part of the team and help them build their business. So with that in mind, it's probably even more important that you've got some kind of a plan for what you want to achieve from this interview, and you've got some kind of an agenda. So hopefully this video will help you get that and to be as prepared as you can be. So my first tip actually starts before you even get to the interview, and that is to make sure that you've researched the person that you'll be interviewed by. Most people will probably use LinkedIn, Facebook. I think if it's an international company, Zing is proving more and more helpful to find out about people. But the other thing to do with the research is actually to try and find any press releases that the company may have issued with this person involved in it. The other thing you can do is obviously go on Google and actually do some searches for their name and the company. You'll be amazed at what you can sometimes dig up about what's been done, or achievements they've had, or press releases that they may have had. You may find some negative press that you may want to raise with them, perhaps, if you get onto that conversation. But as I say, this is not a test of them and their leadership, but more the ability for you to be able to talk to them if they ask about what you found out about their company so far, and have an informed discussion. So having an agenda for this meeting is probably a key thing, and having some kind of process to follow is going to be helpful for you. So you probably find this person won't have an agenda that you're going to be interviewed by. They probably won't have a set process. They probably do these types of interviews from time to time, but it's not their day job. So having an agenda yourself is quite good. And I find the best way to kick off a meeting like this is to actually start off on the right track by asking them what they would like to get out of the meeting today. This can be a huge boon for you because they may not have a set agenda, or they may have some things that they want to ask, and so it's great that you've already got some pre-warning of the things that they want. So make sure that you find out at the start what they want to achieve from this interview. My third tip is actually being ready for some questions that they may ask you. Over the past 20 or so years of feedback from these types of interviews, I've found that there's probably three main questions or variations of these three questions that will always come up. So I think it's really important that you think about these before the interview. Now, it's likely they might ask you these at the start and then ask you, the questions that you've got. There's no particular order. So these are the questions that seem to come up more often than not. First question is, why is this role a fit for your short, medium, and long-term career objectives? It's really important that when you're answering these types of questions that you focus on the company and why the company is that fit, rather than, there's a company car, or you've got nice offices, or the people all seem really nice that I've met with so far. Yes, they're nice things, but that's about stuff for you, not about why this role achieves the career objectives in light of the company. So it could be to do with they're launching new technology, or this is a new role for them launching a new product or a new territory, or it could be to do with the fact that you're spearheading a new division or whatever it may be. So think about why that fits in terms of your career objectives, that's the things that you're looking to do, or these are the things that you want to achieve in your career. The second question that seems to come up more often than not is them asking you about what knowledge, contact, skills, or previous experiences you've got already that help you be successful in the role. Now, a lot of people think this is a test question. It's actually not. You'll probably find that they're not that knowledgeable about the day-to-day of the role you're going into. So they're probably trying to understand what it is that you've done in the past and why that is relevant experience for the role that you're going into, to see if you've understood what that role is to achieve. And thirdly, they're probably going to ask you a question about what you bring to their organisation, and that's generally in terms of the personality and the attitude that you have that will help you establish yourself quickly. With that question, I generally suggest go and looking at the company values. You'll probably find there's information on what they stand for and a little bit about what they look for in the people that join the business. So try and align your personality traits with those company values. You'll find that that will be helpful. I also think that some of the answers for these questions might help you in closing the interview at the end as well. Moving on, tip 4, I think it's really important that you've got questions that you want to ask. I think it's important also that you're direct with your questions and that you're making them relevant to the role that they have in the business. So over the years, I've found that these questions have been either highlighted to me by feedback that they were great questions to ask, or they've been given to me as feedback of questions that the candidate didn't ask that they would have liked, and therefore these are kind of good questions to ask. Also, be conscious that these questions will arm you with ammunition to close the interview. So make sure you've got your notepad ready and you're jotting down the answers to these. So the 5 key questions to ask them, and in no particular order, are: firstly, how does this role contribute to the company's strategic plan? So get them talking about their company and their plan for the company. You'll be amazed at what information you'll find, and also what excites them and the things that are happening for them in terms of what they're trying to achieve with the business. Second question to ask would be about what they're expecting from you in this role. It's really important that you ask about what they're expecting you to achieve, i.e., future tense, I've already got the job. But you'll be amazed at what you get to hear. Your line manager that you've probably already interviewed with will probably have 5 or 6 things they want the role to achieve. But this senior level executive, there'll probably be one critical objective the role is to achieve, and that's great for you to hear, and also great ammunition for you to sell back as to why you, when we get on to the close, which is my next tip. Third question to ask them is about the line manager you're going to report to, perhaps asking them their opinion of how to get the best from that line manager when you start in the role. How can they help you get established quickly? It's always interesting to hear their take on that person and where their skills and strengths lie, and perhaps the things that they're not so great at that may be helpful for you when you start in the role. Fourth question to ask: what do they see as the next big opportunity for the company? Once again, try and get them talking about the company in the future. You'll be amazed at what you get back when they talk about what's coming up. They may be launching new products, making acquisitions, etc. So once again, great ammunition for you when you're closing. And fifth question, what's their view of the market currently, and what do they see as the next challenge the company needs to overcome. Different ways to ask this, but I think it's really important that you try and find out from them what are their sort of challenges in sort of running the business and where they're going with the business. Once again, this will arm you with some great ammunition to use when you're closing. So coming on to that, my final tip, being able to close the interview. Now, I suggest using a 4-step process, in that you should use this with every interview you go on. So my 4 steps are, firstly, expressing your interest in the role. So letting them know that based on what you've seen and heard so far in the interviews that you've had, that this is really interesting you and a role that you want to go after. Second way to close is to explain why you feel you would be an asset to the company. So once you've expressed your interest, explain why you feel you could be an asset. Now use the answers to the questions that you've had in tip 4 as ammunition. Try and use 1 or 2 salient points. Try not to use too many. Less is more. The third step of closing is to explain that you're not an expert in what the company does yet, but that you are a fast learner. I think it's really good that you've got some humility of you're not an expert, you're not the perfect fit because you don't know everything about the company, but you can learn that quickly. And then finally, step 4, asking them their thoughts from the meeting that you've had and what's their understanding of the next steps. Now, if it's positive, if their thoughts are positive, be blunt, ask them. Are they going to put you forward? Are they going to recommend you for the role? Do they see you fitting into this role? If yes, well, great. Where do we go from here? What are the next steps? It's likely that they might have some concerns. So when you ask them their thoughts from the meeting, they may say, yeah, I think you're a good fit, but I'm worried about this or that. Make sure that you overcome those objections. So, best wishes for your interview. I hope this has been helpful, and I wish you all the best for the upcoming interview. If you want any further information, or you're interested in any other resources on things like writing a CV or applying for jobs or interview technique, feel free, go to my YouTube channel. There's a number of other videos on there. You can find it or search for it under Charles Noyce Sales Talent Recruitment. All the best.